Welcome to RHI Sociable City Interviews, where we meet with global thought leaders on nightlife and the social economy. Today we are with Ariel Palitz, Senior Executive Director, New York City Office of Nightlife, Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment. Well, hello, Ariel. It's great to see you. It's been, I guess, close to a year since we were having our drink in Seattle at the bar. So
Right.
it's amazing how quickly time has passed. But back then, you were talking about your role as a night manager. But how did you get into doing this work that you're doing now?
Well, it's great to see you, Jim, as always, and thanks for having me here today. Um, Before I got appointed into this new role as the first executive director for New York's Office of Nightlife, I was a nightlifer in New York City. I owned and operated my own nightclub for 10 years. I was on my local community board. I was raised going out in the city. And I think all of my life experience really led me to the place where I guess the powers that be felt that I could represent the industry with bringing some real world experience to the table.
Okay, so when we met in Seattle, uh, you were in probably within your first year of the job. So what was it like? What was your job like a year ago in March before we became aware of COVID?
Actually, this coming March is going to be 3 years, and we
Oh, okay.
originally met in Philadelphia the
Oh,
year
that's true.
before
That's
that.
true. Thanks for
That was
reminding me. Yeah.
Yes. So time is flying even faster than you anticipated. It's been 3 years in the role. And, when this office was originally created, much like the other offices of nightlife around the country and the world, it was really to be a dedicated liaison for the industry and New York's administration, and to make sure that the owners and the managers and the workers and performers, as well as the patrons and residents, had a voice, not only to receive information, but also to amplify their voice and to make sure they have a seat at the table where decisions are being made. And we did have our buckets or priorities determined pre-COVID, of course, supporting businesses, improving quality of life, promoting harm reduction and safety, as well as really supporting and elevating the culture. And now that in the time of COVID, we really do see, although we have pivoted quite rapidly into crisis management mode, the purpose of the office and its intent, I think, remains very much the same as it was before this pandemic, which is to make sure that this industry has dedicated representation, non-enforcement liaison to make sure they're getting the information and the guidance that they need to navigate this, and to also amplify their needs and concerns where decisions are being made. So, although this has happened, our purpose has not changed.
So you pretty much remained, in an advocacy role. It's just prior to that, you were advocating for what was evolving within the whole nightlife world, really becoming more engaged with the DIY kind of, a movement and really protecting the interests of the musicians and others. But it was a more positive building experience, whereas now it seems like you're in more of a protective mode in preserving and saving rather than nurturing and growing.
Well, I would agree with that. I mean, before the pandemic, we know that the industry and the musicians and performers and everyone was in need of support. There was a lot of issues around sustainability and profitability and safety and legitimacy. pre-pandemic. Um, but now, yes, I mean, now it truly is. Before it was a joke, oh, the Office of Nightlife is here to save nightlife. And now it's kind of more true,
Hmm.
where this is we are in survival mode right now to make sure that as we make our way through this pandemic, that the businesses are able to reopen and begin to re-employ the workers and the performers and artists. And so it's far more serious, but again, I think the purpose remains.
Well, in terms of that whole purpose, and also some of the things that you've been doing, and I've been watching what you've been doing. I've been following, obviously, Andrew from the Hospitality Alliance, who's done, I think, a really great job of being an advocate and keeping everybody informed. Uh, but if you were to look forward to, a year and a half from now, and you were to look back through all of the stress and the strain and the conflicts and the political configurations that have been emerging from all of this, can you see some benefits that will have emerged from this, whether it be from the way in which the industry operates and works together, the way that government is interacting, the way that uh, policing and regulatory systems have changed, the way that we've seen more of that outdoor dining experience as something that people may want to have on a more permanent basis? I mean, what do you see as the positive outcomes from your role, and what do you believe will end up being something that those in the industry and those within the community will look back and say, yes, that was a horrible time, but we really fixed a lot of things and we made some things better than they were before.
Well, all of that's true. You know, while we're in the midst of a tragedy, really, there is opportunity while everything has been at a complete standstill. When in life do you have a chance to um, take a complete pause and take a look and assess the situation and have an opportunity to rebuild almost from a complete standstill. And I think in this time, although many of the venues, performance venues, live music venues have been completely shuttered since March, what we've seen and what I believe is one of the positive outcomes is the way that the industry has organized. Just the creation of NIVA, the National Independent Venue, and NAIVA, the New York chapter. We have Hospitality United. We have Nightlife United, the Musicians Association. And so life has been so fast and so hectic. The pace of life in nightlife was always so fast that nobody really had an opportunity to stop and to connect and to create alliances and to have a unified voice. It's something that has been spoken about for so long, but I think that during this pandemic, it has really solidified the importance of aligning with your peers and speaking with one voice, with one agenda, with one purpose. And I do think a tremendous amount has been done by these organizations. And I think that New York and other places where I'm sure this has happened would benefit greatly to continue that.
Mhm.
Um, the Office of Nightlife within this in New York took the opportunity to launch a new program called Mend NYC, which is a program, a free mediation program to help with the quality of life complaints that often emerge between residents and hospitality businesses that can really escalate and lead to fines and summonses and sometimes even revocations of licenses. And so we've taken this moment to create this program that as we begin to reopen and as we begin to live life more outdoors and celebrate and entertain outdoors, an opportunity for these conflicts to be resolved through communication and compromise rather than strictly going to an enforcement route.
Yeah.
So that was something that we were able to do. And I think all of the issues that we mentioned about summonses and fines and affordability, these are all things that we are in the midst of taking a look at now, so that as we reemerge, we can come back more sustainable, more fair, more safe, and more conscious.
This is great. And I think, you're right on to something because this whole outdoor experience, especially with more people working at home, what might have been a traditional residential area with nobody in their apartments during the daytime, now it's become their offices. And it may be that they're not going to complain about the sound because they're trying to sleep. May be that they're trying to work, so you're going to have a real need for this mend initiative. I think that would be not just nightlife, but also day life oriented. Um,
Absolutely.
so we're at about the end of the time, but just a real quick observation. How do you believe this pandemic is influencing or will influence how people socialize in the future? Do you think the opportunity for this new emerging organized collaborative industry will be met with the same demand or more demand for what they offer? Or do you feel that people's lifestyles will have changed to where it'll be a challenge for this reemergence?
Um, I don't think that the inclination and the natural human desire to socialize and to listen to music and to dance and to drink and to um, gather with friends is going to change fundamentally. I think that it is a basic human need to do so. And I think that when people feel as though it is safe to do so, they will do so with great vigor. And I do anticipate a renaissance of sorts and a real revitalization. But in order for that to happen, I think there needs to be trust built, and a sense of safety and responsibility, that the venues themselves will be responsible to deliver. And that, of course, I think with the emergence of on site rapid testing, with the vaccines, with different procedures that are visible and comforting to people to know that this is a safe place. And maybe there will be some trepidation as far as reemerging, but I think that as long as we proceed with the lessons we've learned, not only regarding the virus, right, but even beforehand, issues around safety and security, around consent on the dance
Mhm.
floor, issues around race, accessibility, and fairness. I think that the idea of having a safe and secure and trusted environment will expand beyond just the health expectations around the virus, but making sure that really we are reemerging as a more evolved, more um, aware and conscious industry that takes everyone's needs for safety and security and trust into consideration. And so I see this as an opportunity to really readdress those issues at large. And once people feel safe in a space, they can feel free to let go.
Right. Well, this has been great. You've really captured a lot of the opportunities that you are working on. Obviously, some real innovation, and you're really a great ambassador for the industry and the work that you do. So this has been a real pleasure to talk with you, and I'll look forward to working with you. And while we've moved our 2021 of 20 the our DC event to 2022, I'm still going to hold you to come to New York in 2023. So
I would love that.